The lead actor of the film Joker shocked all nutritionists and athletes. Behind the scenes of Hollywood, where actors often change their appearance for the sake of art, the story of Joaquin Phoenix and his transformation for the role of the Joker is deeply striking. Imagine an actor who voluntarily pushes himself to a state of physical and psychological exhaustion, just to get closer to the essence of his character. His journey to becoming the Joker wasn't just an acting job, but a true dive into an abyss bordering on madness. Forget ordinary diets and workouts. Phoenix took such a risk that his transformation became legendary, and its consequences almost cost him his sanity. He lost a large amount of kilograms, and his appearance became not just emaciated, but terrifyingly sickly, reflecting the mental torment of Arthur Fleck. Today you will find out how many kilograms he lost, and the shocking things he did. Phoenix, known for his ability to fully immerse himself in roles, has always used his body as an instrument. However, for Joker 2019, this dedication took unprecedented proportions. He didn't just lose weight, he condemned himself to a constant feeling of hunger, which, according to him, began to drive him insane. This was a conscious choice, as the actor believed that physical suffering would help him better understand and embody Arthur's mental torment. He gave up meat, vegetables, and even dairy products, adhering to a strict diet that led to rapid and intense weight loss under medical supervision. This diet was not just a way to lose weight, but a method of plunging into a state of heightened sensitivity, vulnerability, and emotional lability. The physical transformation became an integral part of creating the character. Phoenix's emaciated appearance emphasized the fragility and pain of Arthur, who gradually transformed into the sinister clown. His posture, his gait, everything changed. The broken, clumsy movements of the Joker, which became his signature trait, were a direct consequence of exhaustion and constant hunger. These details weren't invented, they were born from the actor's physical state. "You start to go mad when you lose so much weight," Phoenix shared, describing the constant feeling of hunger and its effect on his consciousness. He felt his mind become sharper, yet simultaneously more vulnerable. The boundaries between reality and fiction blurred, which, paradoxically, helped him better understand his character's psychosis. Every step, every gesture of the Joker was permeated by this painful transformation. His gaze, wandering through the city, reflected the internal struggle that gnawed at his soul. His slender arms and legs only emphasized his alienation from the world. This process was extremely exhausting not only physically but also psychologically. Phoenix admitted that the weight loss profoundly affected his psychological state, making him more sensitive, emotional, and vulnerable. He experienced constant anxiety, irritability, and even sadness. All of this, he believed, helped him better embody the Joker, making him not just a villain, but a complex, tragic figure. It was a descent into true madness, and Phoenix was not afraid to go all the way. He didn't just play the role, he lived it, allowing physical changes to transform his inner world. Could you imagine how deeply an actor can immerse themselves in a role to achieve such a level of authenticity? Share your thoughts in the comments. Every day of filming was a trial. Hunger constantly haunted him, testing his will. It wasn't a comfortable hunger, but a persistent, nagging feeling that drained his energy and affected his mood. He refused meat, vegetables, and even dairy products, which was incredibly difficult for someone accustomed to a full diet. But he understood that it was a necessary sacrifice to achieve the desired result. The actor spent hours studying the movements and facial expressions of people suffering from mental disorders. He wanted every movement to be as authentic as possible, so that the viewer would feel not just an act, but a true transformation. His dances, his smile, his gaze, everything was refined to the smallest detail. He worked with choreographers to create the Joker's signature gait, which looked broken and clumsy. This gait was not just an external attribute, it was an expression of his internal world falling apart. He felt his body change, become more fragile, and this allowed him to better understand Arthur Fleck's feelings. The psychological aspect of the transformation was no less important. Phoenix admitted that weight loss affected his perception of the world, making him more sensitive to emotions. He became more vulnerable, and this allowed him to feel Arthur's pain and suffering on a deep level. You start to go mad when you lose so much weight. These are not just words. They are personal experience that became the foundation for creating his Joker. This madness was not simulation, it was a consequence of his physical changes. He felt his consciousness change, becoming more open to dark thoughts and emotions. It was dangerous, but he believed that only then could he fully immerse himself in the role. His goal was not just to portray madness, but to understand it from within. He studied cases of mental illness, read books on psychology to better understand the mechanisms that drive his character. He was not afraid to descend into darkness to extract something real from it. This role became the pinnacle of his career, but it was also a huge challenge. He gave his all to create an unforgettable image, and this dedication was visible in every frame. His Joker left no one indifferent. Some admired his performance, some felt disgust for the character, but no one could deny that it was a phenomenal work. He spent months preparing for the role, not only physically but also mentally. He delved into the psychology of clowns, studying their behavior, their motives. He wanted to understand what was hidden behind the mask of a smile. This wasn't just a clown, it was a person disillusioned with the world. He felt his pain, his anger, his despair. And he was able to convey this on screen with amazing accuracy. In addition to physical transformation, Phoenix also paid attention to Arthur Fleck's psychological development. He sought to show not just a mentally ill person, but an individual who gradually degrades under societal pressure. Every gesture, every facial expression, every glance was filled with deep meaning. He spent hours reviewing recordings of his performances, analyzing every detail to make it perfect. He experimented with different vocal inflections to find the one that best conveyed the Joker's inner world. His body language was so expressive that even without words, one could understand what was happening in his character's soul. He worked to show how small tragedies and constant disappointments can push a person to madness. This was not just a story about a villain, it was a story about how society can break a person. He wanted viewers to feel empathy for Arthur before he transformed into the Joker. He showed his attempts to be normal, his desire to be accepted, his dreams of success. And it was these attempts, desires, and dreams that made his fall even more tragic. Creating the image of the Joker was not just an acting job, it was a complete research project. Phoenix studied various aspects of mental illness, talked to psychologists to better understand how the mind of a person suffering from hallucinations and delusions functions. He didn't just imitate symptoms, he tried to understand their nature. This allowed him to create a multifaceted image that was not limited by stereotypes. His dedication was so great that some crew members were concerned about his health. However, Phoenix was determined to see it through. He knew that only in this way could he create an unforgettable image that would forever remain in the memory of viewers. And he succeeded. He didn't look for easy ways, but strived for maximum authenticity. Every movement, every facial expression was meticulously thought out to convey the most subtle nuances of the Joker's emotions. He allowed himself to completely dissolve into this complex world to bring out its most hidden corners. Director Todd Phillips and other actors recalled that working with Phoenix on set was incredibly intense. He completely lived his role, even off camera. This complete dedication influenced the atmosphere on set, creating a tension that only enhanced the realism of the film. Some scenes, where the Joker dances or laughs, sent shivers down the spine, because they felt a real, almost insane energy. He wasn't just acting, he was transforming. Phoenix repeatedly emphasized that the physical transformation was not just a trick, but a fundamental element for understanding the character. It allowed him to feel the pain, lightness, and even a certain form of freedom that Arthur felt as he shed the burden of normality. Weight loss affected his sleep, his appetite, his energy, which only deepened his immersion in the role. He slept only a few hours a day, and this exhaustion was reflected on his face, making it even more expressive for the role of the Joker. His transformation was so complete that even his colleagues on set sometimes forgot that they were looking at Joaquin Phoenix, not the Joker himself. This testifies to his outstanding acting talent and boundless devotion to art. He was not afraid to explore the most hidden corners of the human psyche to create an image that made millions of viewers reflect on the nature of madness and the influence of society on the individual. Every one of his appearances on set was an event. He arrived fully immersed in his character, ready for any experiment. His constant search for truth and depth was striking. He could spend hours discussing the smallest details with the director to ensure that every element of the Joker's image matched his vision. This meticulousness and scrupulousness allowed for the creation of a true masterpiece. He would not compromise if it could harm the authenticity of his character. Even when the cameras were off, Phoenix remained in character, which allowed him to maintain the necessary psychological state. This was not a whim, but a necessity for such a complex role. He knew that every moment spent in the Joker's persona brought him closer to a complete understanding of the character. This constant presence in the role was exhausting, but the result was worth it. He didn't just recreate a character, he created an entirely new interpretation that became iconic. His Joker was not just a criminal but a victim of circumstances, which made him even more terrifying and at the same time sympathetic. The film sparked discussions around the world, and a significant part of that success is due to Phoenix. His performance forced viewers to look at criminality from a different perspective, to think about the reasons that push people to such acts. This was not just a performance, it was an exploration of human nature. Phoenix showed how easy it is to break when the world turns its back on you. He gave a voice to those who were not heard, and a face to those who were ignored. This film became more than just a movie, it became a social commentary, and Phoenix was its main voice. He delved into the deepest recesses of Arthur Fleck's psyche to portray his transformation into the Joker. He lost over 23 kilograms, and his appearance became not just emaciated, but terrifyingly sickly, reflecting Arthur Fleck's inner torment. It was an act of self-denial that transformed his body into a living canvas for a psychological portrait. Ultimately, this incredible dedication was rewarded. For his role as the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix received an Oscar for Best Actor, a recognition of his incredible work and talent. His performance was so powerful and unforgettable that it forever entered the history of cinema. Phoenix believes that physical change is not just an external attribute, but a profound tool for understanding the inner world of a character. He proved that true acting genius is not afraid to take risks and step outside of comfort zones to create something truly unique. This story of Joaquin Phoenix is not only about physical transformation, but also about the extraordinary strength of the human spirit and the limitless possibilities of acting. It shows how far one can go when striving for perfection in their craft. His Joker is not just a character. It is a reflection of a deep dive into the psychology of madness, achieved through extreme physical transformation and uncompromising dedication. It was not just an acting challenge, it was a true immersion into the human psyche, revealing its deepest corners. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new exciting content.